Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of LLG's Random But Real, where we have conversations about any and all things random with the entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. As you all know, I use my performance, communication, literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. And we're really starting to talk about other topics, y'all. Therefore, whether I'm singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words be melodic, just like music to your ears. As you know, or if you don't know, the comments that Erica and I say on this podcast, or any of the guests that we have on the podcast, are our own comments or thoughts. They're not supposed to be intended for any type of professional help. However, if you do need to seek a counselor, we are willing to refer you to someone or give you other information if you need a licensed professional, especially if you're in danger. Of course, call 911. Any other type of trauma or any other issues that you might be dealing with right now, we want you to seek professional help. Okay. So, with that being said, we do pre record these. And so it is a little bit early or in the year than when this podcast actually will drop. But today we're going to talk about like what are your plans for the holidays? And I think this is an important topic because for me, I'm still finding my new normal for the holidays with family members, so many family members that have died. And the past, I would say even 10 years, no year has been the same for me. And unfortunately, my friend who, want her, she usually invites me to her family. Her sibling just died, and so I am aware that she may not want to have, additional people at the holiday or during the holiday season. We haven't spoken about it, but it is just something that's on, my mind because I don't want to be intrusive or invasive, when it comes to that. So, I also may finally be having my procedure done, which I've talked about in earlier podcasts. We'll probably talk about that too once I get the definite yes or go ahead. And with that being said, I might actually be just out for the count and not really be able to get around during the holidays. So it's probably going to be really different for me this year, even more different than it's been previous years. How about you?
So it has been different the past 6 years since my mom passed away. And it will likely be a little more different this year, also just because of some dynamics that are happening within my household. But let me back up and just talk about what was Christmas like growing up, right?
Mhm.
So I'm the older of two in the home. I have an older sister who lived with her mother. She's 2 years older. But in my home, I'm 9.5 years older than my sister. So growing up in the household, it was my younger sister and I, my mother and my father. And Christmas was my mother's favorite holiday. And she would go all out and, just really try to make sure we all had what we, wanted and desired. I can because of pictures, I can go back to Christmases before my sister was born, when
Mhm.
it was just me and my parents, and see all the stuff that they would get just for me, right? And then when my sister came, I just have kind of the memory of what Christmas looked like and sharing. By
Mhm.
the time I got to high school, though, funny enough, my mother would send me to the mall because, being on Christmas break, she would send me to the mall to do the grocery shopping for the household. And then
Okay.
my father would slide me a little extra money to make sure I got something for my mother.
Oh.
So that's really where my Christmas memories kind of kick up a little bit, right? I remember when my sister and I were younger and my parents having done it, but then I vividly remember being the person providing for our Christmas, right? And I kind of liked it. Like, I picked out whatever I wanted for myself exactly the way I wanted it, right? I knew the things to get my little sister, and my mother would always be surprised at what was there for her because she knew the money she had given me was for everyone else.
Mhm.
So those are pretty nice memories. When I started my own family, um, I was just excited to kind of create my own traditions. And so with child number one, all that stuff under the tree was mostly for her, and then for us to each other. And then as the kids came along, number 2, number 3, number 4, it got harder. You know,
Mhm.
I couldn't really afford to get them like the things that I wanted raising for, children. And I remember one Christmas in particular, probably the one after my dad passed away in 2005. Like, I literally got support from the church. A deacon and a deaconess, really gifted me a lot to help get, gifts for the kids because I think we were just kind of struggling or whatever. So then Christmas took, I guess, kind of like a different turn because as a parent, I wasn't able to provide what I felt I wanted to for my kids. They never really had what they wanted. They just had something that made them say, oh. But then ultimately, my mother passing away right before Christmas, ironically, her favorite holiday, she passed away in December 22nd, 2018. So
Mhm.
Christmas has not been the same since then for any of us. Especially that very first one. I mean, I had to have people like kind of just jump in and finish shopping because I'm also last minute. And that probably goes back to high school, right? My mother didn't send me to the mall until the week of Christmas break. So someone had to like finish my shopping for me, for the kids, and nobody really got what they wanted that year because I was operating out of a place of grief. We all were. But we have been intentional, we being my sister and her 3 children, my children and I, we've been intentional since the Christmas that she passed to try to do something um, truly together, to
Mhm.
not separate ourselves. So the very first year, the one year, we went to Deep Creek prior
Mhm.
to Christmas Day, but we were back here for Christmas Day. I think year 2, we went to an escape room. We did an activity. Year 3, something else. So I don't know what's in store. Oh, last year, Christmas, because the youngest son plays football on a collegiate level, they were at a bowl game. So we actually spent last year in Nashville. I don't know what Christmas is in store for us this year. I just, with everything that's going on already and just kind of still where we are, it'll be 6 years. It's just not the same. But I love the holiday still. I love what it represents. Knowing that we're celebrating our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I try not to get just caught up in the materialism of it older. Um, but what about you? What are your thoughts for it?
No, I think that that's good that you started there. You know, I remember when I was younger, I remember saying those words, "This is the best Christmas ever." Like, my brother and I used to play soccer. We got soccers, we got bikes, and, um, I loved me some Michael Jackson when I was younger, and, like, I had this red puffy coat, whatever, it was, like, kinda like that one, like, I remember my grandmother coming over, my mom's mother, because she lived in the city, and coming over, with gifts and stuff to her, sometimes spending the night with us as well. I was an inquisitive child, so I didn't really rock with Santa, so to speak. But I, was still excited. I think we did maybe like 1 year cookies or something like that. Leave them out or whatever. But I was always wondering, I was like, how you gonna get here? We don't have a chimney. So I was always asking questions. Um, I think that, and I'll say this, and I don't know if he'll look at this, but I work in a school, and my principal, last year was his first year, this latest principal, and he was like, "How was your holidays?" When we came back, and I was like emotional, and he was like, "I just want you to know I thought about you," and that meant the world to me because
Hmm.
so many people are celebrating, and because I don't have the family that I used to have, like we used to always go to my great aunts. That was my grandmother's sister that lived in the area. Um, or sometimes my brother and I would travel and go to my dad's side of the family. One year we went to Philadelphia, and I found out I had cousins that lived on the same street that I would walk down in Richmond every single day, like to go, because we would eat on the yard and then we would go get some food on
Hmm.
Chamberlain Avenue. And I so maybe not every day, but most of the time. And I could have had a home cooked meal all those years and didn't even know it. Found out I had cousins right there in Richmond. I'm looking forward to seeing them, when I go for homecoming this year, which will be definitely before this broadcast airs. But I am just excited about I love the lights. I started finding ways. Grief Share was really helpful for me because they would talk about finding the new normal. And I started going to lights just make me happy. It's something about the
Mhm.
lights that just make me smile. And so at least I try to do it like every month up into, or like at least go to 2 to 4 different type of light
Okay.
exhibitions or whatever, and I'll go by myself. Like, I'm really enjoying my
Mhm.
company this year. Like, I
As
am
you should.
good. And so, but one year, I mean, one of the events I went with my friend, and who also just recently had death of a sibling. And so it's interesting that like I'm trying to support them, even though I'm kind of going through my own stuff.
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, I usually have somewhere to go. Christmas, not so much. And I think that's because there are gifts and stuff involved. I struggled financially so much that I often didn't have money to buy family or friends presents. And very seldom was I actually dating someone around the holiday. I said something that's funny with someone around the holidays. So I didn't necessarily have to worry about that. And even if I did, if I had it, I had it. If I didn't, I didn't. We talked about it. But I know that Christmas is really not when Jesus was born. And
Right.
so
Right.
it's just a symbolic, symbolism of that time or whatever. And so it doesn't really bother me not to. Now I love a gift though. So like I'm not gonna, look a gift
Right.
horse in the mouth. However, if I don't receive anything, then it's fine. But I do love when I have the funds to be able to give and help, just bless somebody else.
Absolutely.
I think that is it's cool. You know what I mean? Um, and I don't know when's the last time. So I'm more about celebrating people's birthdays,
Mhm.
especially my niece and nephew, but I don't really trip about Christmas. If I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. And but I love presents, meaning
Yeah.
being somebody's presence.
Yeah.
Not so much the gifts, but just being around people that care about me, that I care about. And so, depending on what happens, I've had a few people that said, "Hey, I'll look out for you." I do hope that I'll have a meal if I'm still recovering.
Mhm.
At that time, that somebody will be like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop off something for you," but or maybe I'll be towards the latter end, of recovery. Like I said, I'll talk more about that later, but um I now just try to focus on not being sad and remembering the
Right.
happy memories of all of my family members who have gone on before me and continue to try to find a new normal. Like I said, Grief Share even has a holiday edition. I don't know if you've ever heard of, but it really was helpful. Like if you normally bake cookies with your family and that family member is not here now, what are you going to do instead? And finding things to do to still honor the people that are no longer here, but also, finding things that are going to continue to keep you going because it
Mhm.
kind of sneaks up on you. It's
Yeah.
like, my mom passed in October, and so it was only a month, later. And then my grandmother, that was 3 days before Christmas. I was a mess. Like friends invited me over, and she died first. And I tried to go, but then I was so sad. I was crying like at the dinner and stuff, and I didn't want to ruin their holidays.
Right. Right.
So I think spending time with other people who might have, gone through loss. I've been invited to some friendsgivings, which is cool, but I don't like to cook. So having to bring something, like if I can purchase it, I mean I can, but it's a chore for me. So, but
Mhm.
just, of course I will if I must. Um,
Right.
but if I can buy it, I'll buy
Yeah.
it if I can. So I am just finding like I said, new normals.
Yeah.
And,
So this conversation is making me think, beyond what I've already shared,
mhm,
like what else, right? And so then I just remembered. So from 2000, was it 2000? 2000 to 2007, I worked at Melwood,
okay. Mhm,
based out of Prince George's County here. I supervised group homes. And I got into a habit of bringing some of my individuals in my group homes to my house for Thanksgiving and or
Mhm.
Christmas. And I did that probably every year that I was there, except 2007 because I left in May of 2000. So from 2000 to 2006, I probably had individuals. Um, it One of my group homes had a mother and two daughters in it, so I had them one year. Another group home had, four women, and while they had family in the area, for some reason, I had one of them whose family is in the area at my house for Thanksgiving. So I think they must have traveled. One year for Thanksgiving, we traveled to Norfolk, and I took one down to the Norfolk area because she had family down there. So we drove down, she rode down, and we dropped her to her family. We went, and then we picked her up and came back. But for Christmas, one of my individuals, her mom had passed away. She did have an older sister. She was also older than I am, but she had an older sister. And so for years, Dina would come to my house for Christmas to the point where the kids expected it, because the
Mhm.
kids were younger, but they knew Dina because she was there every year, and Dina really appreciated, you know, being able to come over and eat with the family. And all this is before my mom passed away, too. I haven't actually spoken to Dina. I haven't worked, like I said, at Melwood since 2007. I haven't actually spoken to her in years, but just, this conversation is stirring it up. And I
Mhm.
feel compelled to try that last number I had for her, see if she's still in
Mm.
that same home. It's no longer a Melwood home that she was in, but to see that. But I realized that I've actually done a lot of different things, over the seasons. And yeah, I change is not always easy. I think we talked about that in our
Mhm.
seasons episode.
Right.
It's
Right.
not always easy for me to have things just so different. Um, but with my crew, with the girls, we've started doing Christmas or New Year get togethers. We've done that the last, off the top of my head, I'm going to say 6 to 7 years. So that's a newer change
Mhm.
than kind of what I always was doing. No, actually, I feel like we did that even before my mom passed away. So it has to be longer than 7 years that we were doing that. Um, so I don't know, Lisa. We we don't know what it's gonna look like, but we're gonna embrace it, whichever way it is,
Yeah, it'll
because
be something.
it will be something, right? That's what I was gonna say. It'll be something. It'll be
Yeah.
something different. It'll be something new. It might include something that we've done before, but it's still, like you said, we know it's not the actual birth of Christ, um, but it's the feelings that come behind it.
Mhm.
It's the goodwill that a lot of people tend to have during that time of year. It's the Christmas concerts at church, and
Right.
the church decorated. And
Mhm.
oh, one thing I forgot to say this: my mother, my mother loved a live Christmas tree. So you will
Mhm.
never catch a fake tree in my house. It's always a live Christmas tree. And her criteria was very specific. My father was about 6 feet tall. My mother and I about the same height, 5'1.5", 5'2". And so the tree had to be taller than my father, or as tall as, but preferably taller. And it had to be wide. Like it couldn't be no little skinny tree. Like even though he was a slender man, she liked him tall and slender, not in her Christmas tree, right? So I think I was about 11 or 12. My sister was young. I'm guessing on the age. I'd have to go back and really check. But one year, my mother did not go with us to pick out the tree. She left it up to my father. And I think that was the year we almost lost him. She almost killed him.
Oh my
My
goodness.
father
Play
came
with
back.
Mama's tree now.
My father came back with a tree about our height. And remember, I told you I'm 5'1.5"
Uh-huh.
now as an adult. That tree was so short. My mother fussed and cussed and carried on about how short this tree was because he knew her criteria.
Mhm.
But that is something that has stuck with me.
Wow.
I
It
always have to have a live Christmas. So I do enjoy the decorating of it. I love the smell of a tree. I love the look of a tree. I keep the lights on all night long in the house. whether it's in the front of the house and windows facing the front, or if it's in the back. Wherever the tree is, it's going to be lit all night.
Wow.
So it's still a magical season. It's still a magical time. But yes, it definitely carries different feelings and emotions when things aren't what we were used to.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't even want them. I don't buy a tree. I can't tell you the last one. Nope, don't buy it. Don't decorate. Don't. And my grandmother used to always have the lights in the windows, and we would decorate the trees, and we had stockings, and like none of that means anything to me now. And I like seeing it at other places. I think it's just because I'm by myself. Like it's not fun for me to decorate a tree by myself, or and I could care less about running up my electric bill and putting lights in the windows, but I love to see them. I
Yeah.
just, maybe that'll be different if I ever get married or even have a significant other around that time, that's something that we, like I said, it would be another new normal, but, it doesn't matter to me. I like the smell of pine or real trees, but I don't have to have one. It can be fine. Have a fake one is fine for me. So yeah, none of that. I think the most important thing is just not getting stuck in whatever it was. And for some people, like you just said, it's really important for you and you have all those memories, and that's one of the things that you kind of keep alive. For me, I'm like, it's one less task I have, As long as I have some food, I'm good. Like feed me.
Yeah.
Even if I feed myself, I mean, of course, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like I won't do a whole turkey. It's just me. And at one point it was just myself and my aunt, or just myself, my aunt and my mom. And so I'll do like a turkey breast because we all like white meat. And then mac and cheese, yams, or sweet potatoes, the regular, I'll say more so African American homemade stuffing. Like I really can cook. I just don't love it. And it doesn't bring me joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just labor. It's labor intensive, and it's so much fun, more fun for me to eat it than it is to cook
I
it.
am a basic cook. I say it all the time. I am a basic cook, but I too love to eat, and I love to eat good food, like good cooked food. And I have several girlfriends that cook well, very well, and they like it, right?
I don't think you're a basic cook though, Erica. Like you talk about something. No, you really not. And I've been to your house and I've had some food, and so I don't, y'all. That would be a lie, but I'm gonna let her have it. I'm gonna
That
say
one's not the
it's an
lie.
untruth,
Trust
a very strong untruth.
Ask
Okay.
my children; they'll be like, "It's okay."
Oh, gosh,
Luckily, it
okay.
doesn't
Well,
hurt
you
my
must
feelings.
put your best foot forward when you invite people over then, because
Yes, I mean I do definitely try to, but some of it is not all mine, and some of it's off the grill. But
I
we
understand.
digress.
But everybody can't even grill, so
Well, I don't do the grilling. So.
I understand, but I'm saying,
yeah. Thank you for that, though. But yeah, listen, the season will be here before we know it, and of course, when the podcast comes out, it will be here.
Yeah,
I think the other thing, though, that's really challenging is because we both grew up in this area. Christmas is not like it used to be. We can't get no real snow. Like you got to
global
shut
warming is
down.
real.
It's very real, and I don't appreciate that part. Like Michaela, my younger daughter, her birthday is December 3rd. And I can just vividly recall, I don't know which birthday it was, but it was every bit of 10 to 12 years ago. We were in the backyard for her birthday on the playground set. The house, not this house where I'm at now, but the house I lived in when I first met you, had a playground set in the backyard. And for her birthday party, the kids were outside in the back, December 3rd, because it was about 60, 65 degrees. And I'm just like, it's not supposed to be this warm in December, because back in the day when we were growing up,
right, we were playing in the snow.
It was snow, right? So as much as I, don't like to be cold, or, if it's gonna snow, it just needs to snow. I don't want any of this fake winter we've been getting the last couple of years. But I think I heard on the news the forecast. I don't think we're gonna get. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised because it's still, 65. I think is still cold enough or cool enough to wear a sweater or coat, a jacket, because that's also pneumonia weather, and this singer can't be getting sick. So But it's definitely not, even as we approach November, it's definitely not been very, cold temperatures. I think today initially was like 50 something, and then it went up again. And tomorrow's supposed to be back
It's
in the 70s.
even warmer.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just like I said, we record, and so this is now October, actually, when we're recording. But I just want to leave this with people. Like I said, if you're going through a different season in your life during the holidays, just be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace, as you often say, Erica, and try not to be stuck in whatever it is. Try not to also be alone. Maybe for a little bit, especially for those of us like the school system, you get off, and so you have some time off or whatever. Try to do something for yourself, but also something to celebrate, or maybe the memory of a loved one that's passed, or if you're going through divorce, separation, breakups, like a lot of stuff happens around the holidays, and it can kind of leave you in a different frame of mind. And so find something that's still going to uplift you and encourage you. Find people that you can celebrate with. Try not to be by yourself. I think, what's that slogan? Idle man is the devil's
Playground.
playground.
I don't mind. It's a
Mind is a devil,
playground.
right? I don't
Mhm.
mind is a devil's playground. And so I think sometimes when we're just there thinking, just thinking, you can just turn into rumination, and you're just not able to really focus on all of the positive things. Try a journal, find things that you do to make you happy. At least one thing a day. If you
Yeah.
can't do a day, start with the week,
Yeah.
and it just to try to find ways to move if the holiday is going to be different. And it doesn't have to be loss or death. It could be just something there. Maybe you're moving to a different city and you don't know the same people that you used to know.
Right.
There are restaurants even that sometimes open up on the holidays. My church, the church that I first became a minister at, we would go out on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day and feed the homeless. And one of the things that my pastor then would always say, a lot of people come out Thanksgiving, but no one seems to want to come out Christmas because they're always focused on their family. But God's, called us to serve all the time, all year. And so, try doing something that's going to help you not to be selfish but selfless. And so it was cool.
Absolutely.
And I would cook it, like everybody in the church would cook, and we would put meals and plates together and go out there and give them hats and scarves, and try to do something that will uplift someone else's spirit, and I guarantee that yours will be uplifted too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will add this. You reminded me. So, in that 1 year anniversary of my mother having passed, one of the activities my sister, the kids, and I did is I had ordered um, paper from Amazon that was dissolvable. And so we wrote notes to my mother. Everybody wrote what they wanted to write to her, what they had to say, get off their chest, whatever, updates, whatever they wanted to put. And ultimately, we let the letters go into, a body of water.
Mhm.
Um, so that was different,
Mhm.
but it was slightly freeing, to be able to put pen to paper, put some things down to her, and then to let it go and be and dissolve, you know, into. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, like you said, find and do something that's different, but still fulfilling.
Yep, absolutely. So we wish you a happy holidays,
Wish
Merry
you a
Christmas,
happy holiday,
happy
Merry
Hanukkah,
Christmas,
happy just
Kwanzaa.
so yes, everything that can be celebrated. I just hope that you don't celebrate it alone unless you want to. And yep, all those invitations that y'all have given me in the past, I'm talking about everybody that's listening, then go ahead and invite a sister this year.
Well,
Or bring
you're always welcome at my house.
thank
From
you.
the
I,
first
I
time
appreciate
you
it.
came, the door is open.
I might actually take you up on if I'm able to get around. So we'll see what happens
Well,
by
yeah,
then.
you'll let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything that you want to say before we close?
Just that beginnings. endings, all those, because I'm a person of beginnings. I told you I like the beginning of a month, beginning of a week, beginning of a year. So as we're even coming up on this holiday season, I can't believe it's already about to be November 2024. Let's just say that. But as we're winding down this year and preparing to start a new year, it's an ample open field of beginnings coming our way, and we should embrace that.
Absolutely. So while we close, like I said, let's connect. Follow me on social media, stream my music. I'm at One Singing Lady. And then also visit the website www.lisalgilliam.com. You can find out more information about this podcast and anything else that is going on. I'll be singing a little bit more and speaking a little bit more, and so I'm looking forward to um, how the holidays bring the closing of this year, but also the start of a new year, new blessing, new season. So that is all. But thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you the next time on LLG's Random But Real.
See you then.